Okay, this is again opening day Saratoga, July 22nd, 2011, and I've been talking about the Superfecta for at least part 1 and part 2, and I'm going to continue. I don't really want to see this as a part 3 to that, but there is something I want to point out here that I didn't get to in the other two parts. So I guess that qualifies this for a part 3. But in the 10th race, this Superfecta is pretty much classic and demonstrates a lot of similarity with the other Superfectas we have. In particular with the mile and 16th turf races, this is one of, I believe, let me see, we've got 2, 3, and 4 together on this 10 race card, and all of them are very similar. Our first two were won with particular ratings, and our 120 ratings did well in both of those races, and here in the 6th race we had the same situation pretty much. Numbers a little bit different, but our 120 was number 9 and our par horse number 2, and the slower early speed, and I was going over the differences between the numbers in the numbers themselves and what the numbers actually show. And here in the 10th, this is very similar with respect to the fact that we've got 3 of our finishers in the Superfecta are at the bottom of the chart, low early speed last, which we've seen that we should prefer on the grass at Saratoga, especially at 2 turns, because it's soft or tiring, however you want to look at it, but the low ES from last will usually do much better in this scenario. And here we've got 2 low numbers, or what we would see as low numbers in 6 and 11, and they are actually low in comparison to the rest, but they are in the 60s. And then we've got number 7, just a bit over par, but we've seen a couple of horses do very well at this particular early speed last, 80, and that is significant. So in that aspect, you see that this race is very similar to the other 3, and you'll continue to see that over and over and over, the similarities. And as you learn the subtleties that the numbers show you, even though they're a little bit different, they are quite similar. Here are number 6 and number 11, although they're in the 60s, they're comparable to 120s because they're almost half of that number. So you could see these two as that type of runner with this kind of early speed. They will be able to sustain in the stretch, although their numbers are low. They'll be able to sustain better than, say, number 10, who is the lowest number in the race, but at 86 early speed, right there in the middle, that's probably about what this horse can do. No particular late run and no particular early run. No advantage on either end. This horse, number 10, probably runs this pretty evenly, and just gets passed by horses that have a little more in the stretch, and gets a few lengths too much behind horses that are a little faster on the early speed. And here our winner, number 5, also the simple pick, is a 71 at 91 early speed, which is above what I earlier said is my usual cutoff point is about 90. But in this particular case, the spread isn't so much between even the fastest early speed, 92 for number 2, and 80 at the slowest. That's only 12 points on a 2-turn race, so it's not a huge difference. And a horse in the 70s will probably be able to sustain that run at a good early speed, which 91 is a pretty brisk clip for a mile and 16th on the grass. It's not in particularly barn burning hell for leather speed, but it's not dawdling slow either. Uh, it's a good brisk early speed, and number 5 can probably maintain that through the race pretty evenly, and that is one of the things that 70s number reflects, as we saw in the first race. 78 won that, so we know that number, uh, 70s and even into the lower 80s, is a good number. The question is always, can the horse sustain in the stretch? And the answer lies in the early speed itself. Now, if number 5 was one that you would figure couldn't control high early speed of say 95, then you'd have to figure, hey, he's not going to be able to sustain. But at 91, it's a little different picture, and also number 5 is the favorite in this race. So you would have to think that 91 early speed, even if he runs that fast in this particular race, won't be out of line for him, because he is the favorite. So that probably is more reflective that he can run with that early speed, and his ability of 71 with that early speed, he can run that race fairly evenly. So that's why he's in here. He is the one fast early speed horse, or high early speed horse, that I would put in with the 3 that I've got on the bottom here. Number 1 and number 2 probably can number 1 probably can sustain, but number 5 figures to be in front of him, and number 2 will probably tire some, and maybe tire quite a bit. And so number 5 is the one high early speed horse, or faster early speed horse, that you could figure will sustain in the stretch. And that's pretty much the same point of view as you have in all of these superfectas today. But if it took you all day to get to this one and have this one fall in place with that viewpoint, and you saw it that way, if you won just this one, a very, very profitable day. So it is worth taking some time and observing the results, and thinking about this, and learning it, because it is the way horse racing actually works. Low and high, fast and slow. That is always the contest going on, and you pair horses up and you compare them with what you know is good at a track, or for a surface, or whatever, and you get more and more information on that every race that's run. So you keep plugging in that fresh information from results, and keep looking at that race and shaping that perspective, and at a point you see where they're all very similar, and you can actually start winning consistently, because that is when you see the consistency of horse racing that has always been there. If you don't expect to find any consistency, you don't find any, but once you realize that there is consistency there and start looking for it, you find it at every turn. And you'll be surprised how consistent horse racing actually is once you see some consistency and then start looking for more. It is amazingly consistent, and in this method of going after the superfecta is probably where you find more of that than in any other method or wager that you might want to make. So we'll see you tomorrow at Saratoga, and we'll go over that card, and we'll learn some more, and we'll get you to where you're a superfecta expert in no time at all. So Thanks for joining me today, and I hope to see you tomorrow.